Yo, it's Vic back with another video. Today I'm doing Dragon Ball Super, Chapter 88. Let's get into it. Alright, the chapter opens up on Beerus' planet. They're eating. Goku, Beerus, and Whis. Vegeta staring off into space. It says Goku and Vegeta's battle to the death with gas on planet Siriu, ended with an abrupt loss to Black Frieza. After that, they return to Beerus' planet. Goku is now aware of the massive power gap between him and his foe, as was Vegeta. As such, they continued their training in the hopes of defeating Frieza. Meanwhile, back on Earth, and then there's a cover page that says Dragon Ball Super, Chapter 88, Superheroes Are Born. Evil must be stopped. Evil must be mopped up. We leave the world cleaner than we found it. We are the cleanup heroes. Saiyaman X. Saiyaman X2. Here to tidy up. And then the scene is set at the Jewelry District, Mosquito Town, West Capital. And that was Goten and Trunks talking. And they're aged up. So there's Goten and Trunks talking. Trunks is Saiyaman X1 and Goten is Saiyaman X2. So it's the same at the Jewelry District, Mosquito Town, West Capital. So you got robbers. One says, the other one says, what the? They just flipped over their vehicle. So they're talking about Goten and Trunks in their disguise. Trunks says, bold of you to rob a jewelry store in broad daylight. Goten says, but to be brash for your own good. The robbers say, it's them, those would-be heroes who popped up in West Capital recently. The other one says, oh yeah? How dare you wreck my ride like that, you snot-nosed wackos. Back off unless you want to die. Trunks teleports in front of him, grabs the gun. He says, you won't be dirtying our town anymore, not on my watch. He breaks the gun and throws it in the bag. He says, dispose of your trash properly. The robber says, you little punk. And he swings. And the other guy swings at Goten. The main guy swings at Trunks. The main robber swings at Trunks. They're dodging. And then Goten says, swinging blades around is risky business. And he knees him in the stomach. And Trunks force palms the other guy. Says knives can be disposed of with normal garbage. What a pain. The guy, Goten says. The robber says, crap, they haven't beaten us yet. So they charged Goten and Trunks, the robbers. And Trunks and Goten says, hiya, and kicks both of them in the face. They go flying into the building and crash and land on their heads. They say, boy, okay, we give up. Trunks says, clean up complete. And the police arrive. Goten and Trunks fly off. Trunks says, phew. That went great, Goten. Goten says, that was perfect, Trunks. And the best part, our awesome pose, just like Clean God himself. Saiyaman X1, Saiyaman X2 here to tidy up. The poses, the catchphrases. You think we're cribbing too much from him? And then they show a picture of Clean God. And then Goten says, no, it's fine. We're a duo after all. A phone rings and Goten says, hey, a news bulletin. Trunks says, what? Goten says, a big theft. Trunks says, off to our next mission then. Find robbers. Huh? What town? Goten says, it was a cyber attack identity theft. They stole a bunch of people's personal info. Trunks says, a cyber attack? Darn it. We can't beat up scumbags over the internet. Goten says, you've never been great with computers, Trunks. Which is odd because his family is advanced with technology with Boma and whatnot. But anyway, to Trunks says, I just want to face off against some mighty evil and do it in style. But there's no place for superheroes in modern society. Trunks says, no, Goten says a peaceful world is a good thing. Trunks says, yeah, can't argue there, but still. Goten's phone goes beep, 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 and that's Chi Chi on the line. She says, Goten, what do you think you're doing? Goten says, Mom, Chi Chi says, Goten, what do you think you're doing? Goten says, Mom, you should have been home a while ago. That's what Chi Chi says. She says, Goten, you should have been home a while ago. Goten says, right, sorry, I'm on my way right now. The the daring duo's exploits remain a secret to their families. Our transformation sequences aren't heroic at all. That's what Trunks says. Trunks says, I wish we had special transformation watches like Gohan, especially since our folks don't know about any of this. Trunks says, I know, I'll have Pilaf make us what we need. Goten says, huh? You can just ask for stuff like that. Trunks says, yeah, I can. It's kind of a long story. Trunks says, leave me your costume, okay? Goten says, oh, sure. Goten says, Goten changes back into his school uniform and says, see you at school tomorrow. And Trunks hops down off the building. I guess he puts Goten's costume in a bag, but Trunks still has his costume on. He pops out a capsule and says, changing out of this is a pain. Maybe I'll zip home in the costume. He peeks around the corner and sees his grandparents. He says, Grandpa's here. He says, yikes, oh my. You're the mighty something or other man who's been making waves lately. That's what Trunks' grandfather says to Trunks, but he doesn't know that's Trunks because he's still in his uniform, his superhero costume. Trunks says, I mop up evil in this world as same man X1. And it's a dinosaur that recognizes Trunks' smell, said, back off, Dino. This isn't the time. Dr. Brief says that's odd. He's usually only that affectionate with family. Trunks says, well, superheroes are beloved by one and all, great and small. And then he tells Dino to sit. The dinosaur sits. Trunks says, farewell. Dr. Brief says, more and more youngsters know how to fly nowadays. Trunks says, phew, close one. I'll really be in for it, for it if Mom finds out I've been blowing off studies to play hero. Mrs. Brief says, was there someone here, dear? Dr. Brief says, just a superhero passing by. Mrs. Brief says, how wonderful. I love to meet a hero. Dr. Brief says, actually, his voice was awful familiar. Mrs. Brief says, Which flowers are nicer, do you think? Dear little Pan just started kindergarten, so I like to send a bouquet of flowers for the occasion. Dr. Brief says, is that so? Mama, she's growing up so fast. Perhaps I'll send a splendid aircraft as a present. I remember her being dismayed that she couldn't fly like Piccolo and others. And Mrs. Brief says, goodness, that won't do. The girl doesn't have her pilot's license. Dr. Brief says, astute point. No aircraft then. How about a castle instead? The flower lady says, a castle for a kindergartner? Quite a gift. Dino growls at look like some Capsule Corp robots. He said, what is it this time? I said, Dr. Brief says, aren't those our help robots? What's gotten into them? Mrs. Brief says, I wonder what's going on. They look shocked, and a zombie robot appears. Mrs. Brief says, eek. The next day at Capsule Corp, Trunk says, morning, Pilaf. How's my request from yesterday coming along? Pilaf says, good morning, young master. One of them is done, yes. Trunk says, done already? Thanks a bunch. Pilaf says, as simple a request as can be. Goten's will be done tomorrow. So he's getting the watch, the transformation watch that Gohan had way back when. Pilaf made that for him. Made that for Trunks. He's gonna make Goten's tomorrow. So Trunks says, awesome, thanks. In exchange, Bulma doesn't need to know about me stealing the Dragon Balls, right? Trunks says, sure thing, as long as you keep our superhero deal a secret. Pilaf says, rest easy, I haven't even breathed a word to Shu and Mai. Bulma says, and what might you two be conspiring about? Trunks gets surprised. He said, hi, Mom. Us conspiring? Nah. Bulma said, whatever it is. Aren't you late for school? Trunks says, ah, crap. And he tells Pilaf thanks again. He runs into Mai. Trunks gets Trunks gets nervous, starts blushing, and he helps them out. He helps Mai and Shu carry a box. He says, that looks heavy, Mai. Let me help. He says, is here good? Mai says, sure, thanks. Shu says, while you're at it, mind helping me with mine too? Trunks says, actually, Mai, I was hoping we could chat. This one's heavy too, Shu says. Mai says, about what? Trunks says, later, once I get home. Trunks says, bye-bye. Boom smirking. Shu says, ha ha ha, such excitement, so early in the day. Boomer says, by the way, Pilaf, ever heard of a security camera? Pilaf says, what exactly do you mean? Boomer says, I'm talking about the camera that caught you stealing Dragon Balls from my room. Pilaf says, huh? Boomer says, if you're thinking about making some nasty wish again, give them back. Pilaf says, yes, of course. So sorry. Shu says, your goose was cooked from minute one. And Trunks says, I'm off. He's riding his bike. And he stops to grab a hot dog. The guy says, late again, Trunks? Saved the dog just for you. Trunks says, thanks a lot. And then Trunks says, I'll be fine. Just gotta sneak in the classroom window. The guy says, who gave him the hot dog says, if you say so, kid. So you got some guys driving crazy. Trunks is on his bike. Um, the guy throws a can out the window, and it's almost about to hit a baby. Trunks knocks it back and hits him on the head. And Trunks says, who the heck did that? And Trunks arrives at his school called Blue Howl High School. So Trunks hops off his bike, goes under the window, and sneaks into class. He jumps through the window. The professor says, Trunks. Trunks says, the professor says, not even the heir to Capsule Corporation gets to slip in after the bell. Trunks says, sorry, sir. The professor says, continue this turtle streak, and this time, and your time at this school may be over. Trunks says, got it, in a sad voice. One of the kids say, smooth move, man. But a girl from his class says, now, no, the professor says, back to the lesson. As the girl laughs at him. Trunks says, I've been busy. It's not like duty only calls after school. His classmate says, duty? What duty? Trunks says, forget it. That won't cut it, Mr. Future CEO. Trunks says, that's the thing, Campus. I don't want to run a corporation. His classmate says, huh? He says, why not? It's your ticket to being richer than rich. Trunks says, which sounds real boring to me. I need more excitement in my life. Uh, One of his other classmates, I think she kind of looks like Chi Chi and Boma mix. Yes, Chi Chi's like, well, she has darker skin and an afro. She says, I hear what you're I hear you're looking for excitement, a little adventure. That's what she says to Trunks while Trunks is at his locker. Trunks says, what do you mean, Rula? So her name is Rula. She says, well, did you hear about the ghost? Trunks says, huh? Ghost? The kid says from his class says, oh yeah, I heard the hockey team had a sighting. Another kid from his class says, apparently they appear near the abandoned mansion on Mount Butterfly. Rula says, want to check it out after school? Think of it as a dare. One of his classmates, Trunks' classmate says, we're in, right, Trunks? Trunks says, Ghost, too silly. Besides, I got a packed schedule. Or I got a packed schedule today. And Trunks is thinking to himself, I dare give me a break. I can't handle ghosts and ghouls and all that spooky junk. Trunks' classmate says, what happened to the craving excitement, man? Trunks says, it's not like that. His classmate responds back to him, I wonder what's gotten into him. Ruler says, he never wants to hang out anymore. So after school, Goten's walking with one of his classmates, I guess, or a kid from school. Trunks says, yo, Goten, video games in my place again, right? Goten says, oh, hey, Trunks, yeah. And back at Capsule Corporation, you got the hero that they Clean God, saying Clean God is here to sweep away evil with the broomstick in his hand, sweeping away evil. Trunks says, taste my cleanser strike. Trunks says, games are great, but I want to kick butt in real life too. Goten says, I bet you can't wait until wait to use your transformation watch, huh? Goten says, man, I want one too. Trunks says, actually, I gave it a trial run today. Trunks says, that's what Trunks says. Goten says, already did you find some crime to fight? Trunks says, nope, but I transformed and flew to the movie theater during my free period to buy these. He bought some Klingon movie tickets. Goten says, whoa, day one tickets for the Klingon movie? We thought we'd never get our hands on these. That's what Goten said. Trunks said, complete with the in-person meet and greet with the movie star. Goten says, too cool. Trunks says, the thing is, Goten, I'm real sorry, but I could only get two, and there's someone I really want to ask out. Assuming it's, I assume it's Mai, who he wants to ask out. Goten says, what? No way, for real? Trunks says, let me guess. No, Goten says, let me guess, it's Mai. Is it Mai? Trunks says, I know I owe you one, but give me a minute while I go ask her out, okay? So Trunks runs off to, it looks like her job. One of the guys working at the Capsule Corp says, on your right, saying that Trunks is coming behind him. Another guy says, carry that over this way. Trunks walks up on Mai with the opener says, it's quite busy, huh? And he says, so Mai, remember that chat I wanted to have with you? Well, are you free this Saturday? I've got some primo movie tickets. Mai says, a movie, huh? He says, yeah, the live action Klingon movie I told you about. Let me tell you, these tickets were not easy to get. Mai says, yeah, it's not really my thing. Pilaf says, sorry, young master. A great volume of helper bots had to be recalled all at once, so we'll be busy repairing them all for the rest of the month. Mai says, yeah, what he said. Trunks says, you can't take a single night off for dinner and a movie. Pilaf says, I'm afraid she cannot. Pilaf says, not even a request from you, young master, can keep us from this work. We're only allowed to live here as long as we're useful. Shu says, especially because Bulma laid down the law after their business this morning. Trunks says, how long will it all take? Pilaf says, impossible to say for now. It's non-stop as Alpha bots keep getting carted off. Another worker shows up and says, got two more recalled helper bots here. He shows the Capsule Corp androids. Trunks says, what's the deal with them? Word is they stopped obeying their owners and ran away from their homes. That's what Shu says. Pilaf says, I created these helper bots and don't make mistakes. Someone must have tampered with them. Shu says there's a rumor that when night falls, strange folk appear to meddle with the helper bots. Trunks says, so if I catch these weirdos, I might will have Saturday night off. Pilaf says, if the recall is called off, of course. Trunks says, I've got I've got some criminals to stop. Trunks says, just you wait, Ma. And Ma seems surprised. Trunks returns back to his place and says, up and at him, Goten. Sandman action time. Goten says, wait, what? We've got a mission. So nightfall comes. Goten says, Shu said most of the reports came from this neighborhood. I don't see anything strange. I don't see any strange folk. Maybe the rumor is just a rumor, Goten says. Trunks says, even a residential street feels kind of creepy in the dark. So he's saying that he's scared. Goten says, creepy. That reminds me, people said that ghosts were showing up around here too. Trunks says, cut it out, Goten. There's no such thing as ghosts, okay? Goten says, hang on, are you scared of ghost Trunks? Trunks says, scared never. As the son of a scientist, I don't even believe in them. And Goten says, well, that's funny because I'm pretty sure both our dads have died and come back as ghosts or whatever. Goten, that's what Goten says. Trunks says, that's not the same. And he runs into android, a robot android. Uh, like a zombie robot android. Trunks says, sorry. And he realizes that's a robot android zombie. And he Trunks says, I do believe. And he hits his watch on the pole, his transformation watch. Goten says, hey, Trunks, that must be the culprit. Trunks says, huh? A guy walking past with the Capsule Corp robot says, cook me up a fine dinner once we're home, okay, robot? So the robot says, Roger, Roger. And the guy that Trunks bumped into, he has a remote. He says, and he presses the remote, and the remote he presses the remote, and the robot malfunctions. And the guy walking with the robot says, "What's the matter?" And then he says, "Where on earth are you off to?" So the robot takes off. Goten says, "See, he must have done something to it with the remote control, and he wears that spooky mask to scare people away. What a dirty move," Trunks says. So they transform and change. No, a blinding light happens, and a car zooms past them, goes past them. So Goten and Trunks take off after the car. So they fly off after the car. Goten says, "Oh no, he's getting away with that car." Trunks says, "Maybe we can find his hideout. Let's tell him." So they're flying in the air, tailing him to the hideout, his hideout. Trunks says, that's the abandoned mansion on Mount Butterfly where they said ghosts have been showing up. Goten says, must be his lair. Let's go check it out. Trunks says, wait, Goten. It's pretty late and dark. How about we come back in the daylight? That's what Trunks says. Goten says, what's the matter? Don't you want to solve this mystery so you can have your movie date? And besides, I thought you didn't even believe in ghosts. Trunks says, you're not wrong there. He says, Goten said, that's what Goten says. Wait, Trunks says, you're not wrong there. And he says, fine, let's do this. That's what Trunks says. And he's thinking about weighing the option between going out with Ma and fighting the zombie robot. So the thought of going on a date with Ma wins. Trunks says, darn it, don't leave me alone, Goten. Not cool, man. And Goten says, shh. And they are robot zombies in the in the store, and Goten says those are the helper bots that are being recalled, right? Trunks says, I get it. They're overriding the system programming to put our bots to work here. This is where those missing bots from the city ended up. Trunks says, wait, is that prepackaged sushi? That's been all the rage in West Capital City recently. He says, now that I know who's been making it, blah. The bandaged up he's a bandaged up android zombie robot. Says, who are you? Trunks and Goku says, yikes. And he grabs their classmate. So Trunks' classmates are inside the building while Goten and Trunks are outside the building, looking through the window, seeing what's happening. So he grabs his friend that was saying he would be lucky to be taking on the family business. He grabbed that classmate and he says, Goten says, aren't those your classmates? Trunks says, oh great. They went through with their dare. The zombie robot android says, you want to beat that bad, huh? Goten Trunks says, I'll transform and charge in there. You wait here, Goten. Goten says, got it. Trunks presses the button. He says, huh? Better act fast, Trunks. But his watch isn't working because he hits the watch on the pole. He says, not working. Maybe it broke when I smacked it before. And then all of a sudden it works after pressing a couple times. He transforms into his costume. He goes in the building, kicks the zombie robot back, and his friends falls to the floor. His classmate, another zombie robot says, who's dressed up in a football uniform, says, "Who the hell are you?" Trunks says, "I'll have you know who I am. I'm Saiyan Man X1." One of Trunks' classmates says, "Thanks for coming to save us. I'm a major fan." Trunks says, "Ah, cool. But let me do my own introduction next time." The zombie robot dressed in a football uniform says, "Well, you ain't leaving now that you've gotten a peek of our operation." And then Trunks says, as if that zombie makeup could scare off the likes of me. How foolish. I cannot stand by idly by. I cannot stand idly by while you menace these good citizens. And then he says, get that punk. The zombie robot in a uniform commands the other zombies, androids. He says, get that punk. Trunk punches and kicks the other zombie androids. And he said, the last man standing, huh? So Trunks rushes the football android and punches him and says, up cycle punch. So he teleports in front of him and tries to punch him. The football android says, I'm built different from the others. I'm engineered to eat a wimpy hit like that and then some. And Trunks says, you don't say. Then you force me to go all out. And then Trunks twirls his fist and says, cyclone style. And says, tornado, hurricane, and his watch malfunctions and his costume becomes undone. And he's revealed to his classmates as being Trunks. So his disguise is shown. And his watch malfunctions and he's back to he isn't covered with the disguise anymore. His classmates say, huh? Trunks? Goten outside the window says, this is bad. Goten fires the key blast at the lights and it goes dark. Trunks grabs the kids and drops them off in the woods nearby. The girl says, we're outside. Other classmate, the guy classmate says, how in the world? And then Trunks' other classmate says, wait, aren't you Trunks' old friends? Goten says, yeah, I'm Goten. So he introduces himself, says, yeah, I'm Goten. Goten says, oh boy, that was pretty scary, huh? I think the ghost made all of us see the same illusion. The guy says, an illusion. When did it start? Goten says, right around when you got near the building. The girl says, right. And he says, the other classmate of Trunks says, but of course, natural Trunks. Naturally, the other guy says, natural Trunks. And he says, hang on. You're saying that place actually is a haunted house? And then they all take off running, saying, God, Trunks says, phew. And back to the haunted house. Back to the haunted house. Trunks says, hey, where'd you go? He said, I happen to know exactly where you are. The football android says, how? He says, you want to see me that bad? Trunks goes Super Saiyan. He said, what the hell are you? He said, allow me to introduce myself correctly this time. So he's Super Saiyan, and then he presses the watch again, and his costume reappears on him. He says, I am Saiyaman X1, here to mop up evil. Trunks says, a superhero. He beats him up, flips him, and twirls him in the air, and punches him through the wall, I guess it is. So he defeats the android, robot, zombie, football player. And he says, cleanup complete. Goten arrives at the school and turns the lights back on. Goten says, wow, you really let him have it. Trunks says, yep, where are compass in them? Goten says, headed home. I told them it was all an illusion. Trunks changes back from his costume, hits the watch button, and transforms from his uniform to his original outfit and says, thanks, I almost blew it there. Goten says, so who are these guys anyway? Trunks says, crap, I knocked them all out before asking. Goten says, nice going. But Trunks says, there's got to be a clue around here. He opens a door and finds a secret like room, and he goes to a safe. He says a safe, and he finds Dr. Gero confidential desk. Goten says, what's that? Trunks says, not sure, but it's the only thing they had locked up tight, so it must be some crazy important data. Goten's Trunks says, I'll check it out back at home. But all I care about is the ending. It's ending the recall. So anything beyond that is sort of whatever. And Krillin shows up in his police uniform at the haunted mansion, or at the mansion. And Krillin shines his light on Goten and Trunks. Goten says, is that Krillin? Krillin says, well, he said, oh, it's you boys. He said, this is no place for a couple of teens to be sneaking around at night. Trunks says, what are you doing here, though? Krillin says, we got a report from a nearby resident. Krillin says, have you boys seen The Walking Dead around here by any chance? By chance? Trunks gets scared and says, Walking Dead. Krillin says, yeah, a bunch of corpses were stolen from the morgue recently. And someone saw those dead people walking around here. Spooky stuff, if you ask me. Trunks says, dead people walking. I should have known those were really ghouls. Those really were ghouls. Ghoulies. And Krillin says, what are you talking about? So Dr. Hito comes back and sees his robot android zombie all destroyed. Dr. Hito says, what is this all about? And he says, tell me what happened. Talk to me, Alpha number 12. Alpha number 12 says, got beaten by a kid with the school crest. So he shows him Trunks' school crest. Dr. Hito says, the entire Alpha series defeated? How could this be? Don't worry, since you're all corpses. I'll have you up and about again in no time. Dr. Hito goes to go find Dr. Giro's disc, but says no. Where's the data disc from the safe? The Alpha android says they took it with them. Dr. Hito says, what? Anything but that. There's only there's only way there's only one like it in the world. The Alpha android says, sorry. Dr. Hito says, what a what a disaster. And he looks at the Blue Hall High School crest. Said, who could have done this? Either way, this base of operation is finished. Curse is just when our sushi sales were really starting to pick up. That's what Dr. Hito says. I'll have to procure research funds some other way. So the next day, after all that happened, Trunks says, hey Ma, so about this Saturday. Pilaf says, Gah, in this toil. He says, a day off unthinkable. The crowd was canceled, but now we got a small army's worth of broken bots to repair. We'll we'll be going without sleep in the hopes of meeting our quotas. Shu says they found a whole heap of missing boats in the old place up on Mount Butterfly. It seemed like someone had smashed them into bits. Trunks says, I can't believe it. And the chapter ends. So that's the end of the chapter. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.